Afrika Bambaataa recently died at the age of 68. He was an undeniable pioneer of the culture, an architect of a sound that would eventually reach every corner of the globe. But his passing arrived with a heavy dissonance. While fans and artists worldwide shared their condolences, his musical impact has been clouded by a history of alleged sexual abuse involving young men who knew him when they were boys. It leaves us with a difficult question. How did the exact environment that demanded a cultural savior also build an impenetrable shield for exploitation? Understanding how this dynamic took root requires looking back at the absolute vacuum of power and safety in the neighborhood where he rose to prominence. In the 1970s, the South Bronx was a community collapsing under intense segregation and economic neglect. For Black and Puerto Rican families, the neighborhood offered almost no socioeconomic opportunity. The physical decay was systemic. Landlords frequently set fire to their own buildings to collect insurance money rather than investing in basic repairs or the safety of their tenants. This total absence of government support or civic infrastructure left the streets in a dangerous state of lawlessness. Street gangs stepped in to fill that void. Among the most prominent were the Black Spades, a group a young Bambaataa joined as he looked for a way to navigate the neighborhood's instability. In a community abandoned by the state, marginalized youth were desperate for protection. Whoever could provide a sense of safety held the potential for absolute authority. Bambaataa began to see music as a way to unify the neighborhood. In the early 1970s, he started hosting parties in community centers, drawing on his mother's extensive vinyl collection to gather the local youth. His core innovation is captured here. He targeted the breakbeats, the instrumental, rhythmic drum sections of funk records, and isolated them. He kept the energy at a fever pitch by never letting a breakbeat ride for more than a minute before swapping to the next record. He further evolved this sound by being among the first to incorporate electronic gear, specifically the Roland TR-808 drum machine. This technological shift led to massive, genre-defining electro-funk tracks like 1982's Planet Rock. Thousands of Bronx youth were drawn into his orbit, pulled in by a sound that gave them a shared cultural identity. Leveraging his former gang ties and growing popularity, Bambaataa transitioned local youth away from street violence and into a formalized collective, the Universal Zulu Nation. He introduced a new ethos to the streets, replacing gang warfare with a mantra of peace, love, unity, and having fun. For many, the Zulu Nation became a surrogate family. It provided a sense of belonging and a literal way out of poverty during a time when few other options existed. This role elevated Bambaataa's status. In a neighborhood with few allies, he became a figure whose influence and authority went largely unquestioned. Absolute reliance on a single figure creates a dangerous vulnerability. When a community's sense of safety is tethered to one leader, dissent risks total isolation. The cost of that unchecked authority surfaced decades later. In 2016, former music executive Ronald Savage publicly accused Bambaataa of sexually abusing him in 1980. Savage was a young teenager at the time of the alleged encounters, part of the exact demographic Bambaataa claimed to be protecting from the dangers of the street. The status of the accused made it difficult for victims to come forward. As Savage later recalled, he felt he couldn't speak out because of who Bambaataa was to the community. After Savage went public, several other men shared similar allegations of abuse. Bambaataa vehemently denied all of the claims. The Universal Zulu Nation eventually released an apology letter, admitting that some members knew about the reports of sexual molestation, but chose not to disclose them at the time. The organization, designed to protect the youth of the Bronx, had instead functioned as a shield, prioritizing the reputation of the founder over the safety of the survivors. We are left with a fractured legacy. Bambaataa's musical influence lives in every beat and every corner of the globe he touched, yet his personal history remains deeply scarred. His story demonstrates what happens when concentrated authority fills a void left by systemic neglect. It is a reminder that even those who build sanctuaries for marginalized communities must be held to account. Without oversight, the sanctuary itself can become a site of exploitation.